for the first stop of the Great American Crawl here in Las Cruces, New Mexico for 2024. Starting off our series here, having a great time.
So we started off Saturday, had another great turnout. I think this is one of the biggest events we've actually had for the Great American Crawl. Got everybody checked in, got the raffle tickets handed out.
And we started kind of splitting off, peeling off into wherever we're, the area baseball field. They did a great job of giving us an area to actually stage and even do our barbecue this evening.
I enjoyed Minefield today. It was definitely you had to be spot on. Sometimes you had to back up a little bit.
Yeah, so every once in a while. Yeah, Minefield, I mean, it's a great trail out there, and it deserves its name. I mean, there's boulders all over the place you're having to pick through. You got a bunch of diff hangers there, so tire placement, technical crawling is very good on that.
So Minefield being our first track for the day, nice tight trail. The first couple obstacles are kind of as usual. They're eye openers, right? They're called gatekeepers for a reason. You can't get through this. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Maybe pay out a couple $100 on damages actually.
Yeah, and a lot of our trails out here, I mean, it's really, if a wash or a canyon ends up wide enough for a vehicle to fit through it, we'll turn it into a trail. Yeah. So, and it's just barely wide enough to fit a vehicle through it, we'll turn it into a trail. Yeah.
Minefield is a good trail. Minefield is maybe one of my favorites in the country. We did Minefield in 2022, and I loved it. I had a great time out here because of that trail. Sorry, Ari. We did spend a lot of time on that trail a couple years ago. It's a fun trail. It's a little bit harder this year than it was then. The trails around here are constantly changing, morphing, getting a little bit harder. That trail becoming more difficult made it more enjoyable for me personally. Wheeling a Gladiator is not like wheeling any other Jeep. They're just long. Stock wheelbase is 137 inches. I'm a little bit more than that. Andy is a lot more than that. If you're wheeling something that big, it's something you're prepared for. 3 and 4 point turns, they're just come with the territory.
That one is tight. It's got several real good switchbacks where you have obstacles in the corners. Those are cool. That trail's neat. You bop up through there, it's tight.
That was snug. It was snug.
You get some good, super flexy spots.
About halfway up through that particular section, I found myself in a very uncomfortable position that, thankfully Trey was there, our spotters were there to just reassure me that I was still in a good place, but I was given a pretty good high five today, and you'll probably see that on camera. I can't wait to see what it looks like from outside the vehicle because, well, I just know it did not feel good.
And the thing about that spot too is, like we were telling you, you're fine, keep coming, it's gonna settle down. It does not feel like it's gonna settle down when you're in it, but people from outside can see that you just need to get a little more distance on those rear tires and it's gonna push the front down.
That's one of my favorite things is when you get one that's just totally articulated both ways, and that's a cool sight, I think.
Get that tire around it.
What don't you cram that thing through?
Apparently not enough gas stations. We're off camber enough, we're away from the fuel pickup, I bet you. I'm away from the fuel pickup.
He ran out of fuel. On an obstacle, on a big waterfall, definitely.
It's
Is it in neutral?
yeah.
No.
It's a 9,000-pound Jeep.
Switch to the back and pull it back.
Yeah. Like this. Or no, wait. It was like this.
Yeah.
He needed to be like this.
He's got that off angle to the passenger side, and his fuel pump hose obviously ran in the opposite direction.
So he had to be winched backwards off that waterfall to try to get on level ground and even see if he could get it started. So
Where my fuel pickup is, if I am off camber and elevated to the passenger side, I am like totally away. So I can have 6+ gallons of gas in my tank. The Jeep don't think so.
I'm looking quick.
Now, hurry, hurry!
Well, and that's the problem is we get so off-cambered here
Right.
frequently. Yeah, I guess that's a tech tip for New Mexico is make sure you got gas full. We're gonna get off-camber, point up, point down, get sideways.
We got plenty of gas. Fine. We just can't be at that angle. No problem. All right. If I get something that I got to be at that angle, I'll just go up it backwards. We have a lot of fun. I mean, most of the guys out here, a lot of them like to get up and run. Most of them run V8s and stuff like that. And once we come out of Minefield there, it's a long, steep climb with a lot of shell rock and everything. And I popped it up into 4 high and pretty much just kind of gave it everything it had coming out of there, having some fun, playing around a little bit. We don't get to do that too much here in Cruces because it's slow, crawling, tight, technical turns, but a lot of fun doing that.
And Gary's got the majority of his PSC system just dismembered.
Just as we were kind of finishing up Minefield there, I noticed the steering was a little harder, a little tighter to work with. What it was, I wasn't having pressure going to the steering assist cylinder there. So once we finished it, got out to the top, and we took a break to eat lunch. While everybody was kind of eating lunch, decided to repair the hose there and fix it. And it worked a little bit better afterwards. I still got a little air in the line. It's cavitating a little bit, but it's better than it was.
Yeah, we went into Bone and it's tight and technical. You're careful with tire placement, and it wasn't as intimidating, obviously, as something like Warpath, but there is a very hard climb out at the end, and I think most of us knew we were gonna winch out.
you know, that one had some pretty good waterfalls with big boulders leading up to it. You definitely had to either come to the right or the left to miss those boulders to get up there, and then turn hard to get up those little waterfalls.
Yeah, going into Bone there, I mean, you're coming down a wash, and then all of a sudden you take a hard turn and go up into it, and you're immediately into the obstacles. Very tight, very technical, narrow canyon with, like Dana said, a bunch of boulders in there, but then a lot of hard turns. A lot of them you had to pivot around the rocks, get on your rockers and actually pivot around to be able to make the turns.
it's one of my favorite trails we have out here. It's got just some big boulders you've got to navigate, and then you start to get to some ledges. That particular one actually gets harder at the end versus some of the other ones, like I said, where they get
Absolutely.
easier at the top.
Absolutely.
That one does not.
I felt like, I mean, obviously as a passenger, but I felt like there was a lot of stuff in there that was definitely a lot more technical. You were pushing yourself in your rig a little bit more in Bone than we were in the first part of the trail.
I think a lot of that too is a lot of people, you'll get more comfortable with not focusing. You need to not focus what's right in front of you. You need to plan out quite a few yards out to where you know what your next step's gonna be. Yeah, that one was rough. It had a super bad undercut, and the problem with it is you would get up on top, your rear would touch that undercut, and then you had another ledge right in front of it. So that one, you either have to get super off camber, which there's still a lot of people that aren't overly comfortable with that. So we try to keep them squared up just for their own comfort, but Robert, I think, got through there real easy. The short stuff shined on that. They could get up in there high, and then it would pivot around without, basically the rear tire would come in and save the body, where the four-door stuff, yeah, you had to go super high.
First thing I thought was, yeah, shoot, why not? We're about the same wheelbase. I can do this. I'm significantly shorter, but why not give it a try? And, you know, even working with Jason, who was trying to walk me through this really technical section, I just kept getting the body of the Jeep closer and closer and closer to that boulder. So I did back out of that one and took what they thought was going to be a much more difficult line for me just because of how undercut it was. But I did manage to get the passenger side up on that big boulder that would have been on my driver's side on that other line, and gave it, you know, kind of a 1-2 punch, and then did manage to kind of hook up my slider on it, pivot out of that, get the back end and climb over, and just walked right through it. I didn't think it was going to work either. Go team.
Yeah, so we spent most of our time as a group in that section. Because just getting everybody through, and we're talking about the ledge and the rock and the pivot, but there's like a bunch of boulders by a tree right before that, and you have to navigate those, and you can either kind of go swing real wide to the right and then cut it back left and drive over some boulders, or like several of our people, you could get stuck on those boulders. So there's a lot of stuff leading up to that ledge that, you know, we didn't mention, but it's still technical crawling.
Yes, absolutely technical. Rock garden stuff.
Yeah, rock garden stuff. So just getting up through that whole section. So those boulders in the front, the ledge or the pivot, it took us a little while.
We were shuffling Gary around a whole lot.
Well, almost everybody got stuck in there.
Yeah, I got in that section there, and I just couldn't get on the right line. I was dipping out on the big boulders and stuff like that, and then I got up on the waterfall there, and I just bellied out on it. I just couldn't get the right line to get up it, so I had to pull the winch and come up it. Somebody else may not have had the winch on that. May not hear the end of it.
Who was that?
Yeah.
I can't hardly see you. We took the right line. Someone told me afterwards it was the harder line. I'm not sure I believe that, but you did have some big boulders that you had to go up against the wall, climb and kind of maneuver through it, and then you had to pivot around a big boulder that was on the right side of the waterfall that he went at.
And that's the thing, a lot of these diff draggers, so many people hit the same one, it makes a little groove.
Yeah.
And then it grabs the axle housing just perfect, and it won't let you go either direction. That was a good spot.
Yeah.
Oscar got up in there and he was that far away from it and we weren't moving, and Oscar's good where he'll back up and he'll give her some skinny pedal. And did you see him do that? That was cool. He got it, like barely missed everything and bounced right where it needed to go, and it was all right.
Yes?
Too easy. Too easy.
The exit to Bone, again, we have a lot of ledges and walls here. So there's a ledge/wall thing on the right, but it's got like a bunch of like V notches cut out of the wall. The problem is if you try and go up the V that's in the middle, which is the way most people end up getting out, even if they try other ways, you've got some like stair steps leading up to the V notch. So you end up with a bunch of tires trying to climb all at once. It's a tough one.
That obstacle's that's a doozy, and that I honestly haven't seen that obstacle in quite a while now. It's always been super hard, and this weekend it was dug out big time, and that was unfortunately it turned into a winch fest. We're trying to get everybody out just so we could get back in time for dinner. Jacob is getting to where he'll just keep pointing it in different directions to see if something sticks, and it wasn't sticking, and then it grabbed, and I don't even know what happened. It went. It happened so fast, I don't know, it worked. He got up.
Today, even though normally we'll play at it and sometimes we take 30 minutes per rig, we had like 15 rigs we needed to get out. And by that time, it was...
No minutes per rig.
Yeah, we had like no minutes per rig because we were trying to get back to the barbecue at 5 p.m.
Yep.
So we ended up with, hey, pull up. If you can one-shot it, that's awesome. If you can't, just go ahead and pull line and get out.
Yep.
I don't like being late to things, and we were already pushing it. So at that point, I got in there. I did my normal line where I've done pretty good with it before, and for whatever reason, it didn't work today, and I just pulled line.
Yep. So yeah, right behind Trey, I pulled up and I proceeded to try and line myself up just the way Trey and I walked through it, and it just wasn't quite working out. This feels pretty shitty. Started shifting over towards that wedge and that crack, and that was really just my only option at that point. You know, the whole front end kind of dumped into it. And again, I find myself precariously close to a very large rock next to my very pretty Jeep, and I just wasn't comfortable anymore. I just don't like this. We're done. I'm done playing. Let's just grab line. Let's move me through. We've got no time per, no minutes per Jeep. So let's just make it happen.
I mean,
I'm about to die. I'm running out of gas. Well, I sat there long enough, and I've got so little gas left in that tank, I pulled an Andy, and I stalled out. Nope, I'm out of gas.
He got up in there to where we could get him winched, and we were starting to roll on and get him through there, the time restraint, and he ran out of gas, and it died.
No.
No, it did.
Not only did I stall out, but I just really started draining the battery trying to run my winch. So all systems kind of didn't go nominal. They just kind of shut down on me piece by piece. Thankfully, Trey was on top. Thankfully, Jacob was on top. We were able to snatch block myself, pull it completely dead weight all the way through it. No body damage, I can say. Hats off to you guys for getting me angled out right, because I had no power steering. I had no go juice. I had nothing but just, I'm gonna sit here for now. Just drag me, please.
He wasn't having it. So, but we got him out, and we didn't scratch it. I don't think. Did we scratch it? Did we scratch it? We didn't scratch it. All right, perfect.
I knew Robert wanted to try the climb out without winching. That's Robert. That's why we love Robert.
Got Robert up in there, and you can get it way to the right and let it scoot you. I apologize, I got him all jacked up in there. And
Whoa, 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 that's a shot. Don't do that. Yo. You just broke your shot off. Did he? You sure did.
then there was a boulder I couldn't see, and then we backed him off of it. Well, then it got into his coilover, and it broke it. So we had
Just
to
break the shaft.
the piston. So yeah, we got that dealt with. He didn't end up upside down, so I'm super pumped about that. Because there was a point where that got a little, I was a little worried about it. Yeah.
He's pretty much vertical, straight up at the wall, and then a shock breaks. So he had a large rock right behind him, which was totally in the way, couldn't get him back off the wall. So we hooked a line around the rock and tried to move it a little bit with Mike's Jeep. Then we moved Mike's line to the top of Robert's cage to try and stabilize him a little bit while he winched himself into a better position. We got him off the wall, removed the lower half of the shock, took the coil springs out, let him ride on his bump stop, which we've seen him do before.
Once you guys left, we still had 8, maybe 10 Jeeps, including our tail gunners, to get out.
Yeah.
So we actually started kind of cranking up the speed, and we were getting people lined up. One shot, winch, get them out, and go.
The small tire guys were in the back of the pack, small tires, 40s. All of us were on 43s or some stickies. So we had it a little bit easier than they did.
Well, we got everybody else after Robert until the one, is it a JK? Yeah, the ram tabs broke off the axle, and he cut a tire, and so it was flat on the obstacle, not where we needed it to be.
With no steering.
With no steering. The main steering started overheating, so it was puking fluid, and he wasn't in there quite enough to grab the slider to keep it out of the door. So yeah, we had to move the winch like 6 times.
Oh, God.
But we got him out, and it didn't crash the door, and that was good.
It was a little bit of a show to get everybody out.
Yeah.
But we
you
got
made
them
it
out.
down.
We got them out. We got back to the road when it was still kind of a little bit light. So it actually wasn't too bad. I mean, other than the fact that I didn't like being late, but other than that.
Showed up just in time for dinner.
Showed up just in time for dinner, didn't miss the raffle, got everything done, so it was a good day. This was actually our second time to have the Great American Crawl in Las Cruces. It was bigger and better this time.
As always, these are the events that I love to do, right? Getting a chance to meet new faces. The trails absolutely did not disappoint. Like I said, there's little touches of home from Arizona there and a whole lot of new terrain that I was just, again, constantly learning while I'm spending my time in my seat.
I had a great time in Las Cruces. I always have a great time in Las Cruces. I love the trails out here. For me, this is rock crawling. This is the kind of wheeling that I love. What I prefer are tight, technical rock trails, and that is exactly what this is.
Again, I just want to say thank you to Sierra County for letting us use the Erie ball field. So thanks to them, thanks to our trail guides and our tail gunners. We can't do it without them.
As soon as we get through dinner, we got into the raffles. A huge thank you to all of our brand partners and sponsors that donate all this stuff. It's great. The people really look forward to it. We certainly appreciate it. So a big thank you to all of our brand partners that have always been so great with us over the past 5 years.
And then if you want to be a part of one of our events, go to greatamericancrawl.com or on Facebook, we also have the Great American Crawl Facebook group that you can join. So get in touch with us, come out and see us.